sine theta, and the second row, if you multiply by I and j, and if you find the vector, you will get minus sine theta I plus cos theta j, and if you find the dot product, you will get 0. So cos theta sine theta minus cos theta sine theta, so you'll get 0 answer. uh, Also, if you take column, first column, and find the vector, again if you find a dot product using the first column and second column of the 2 by 2 matrix with the same term, you will get a 0. So when whether you consider a row or a column, and if you find the vector and dot product is 0, then, and also if you find the magnitude, you will get 1. Cos square theta plus sin square theta is equal to 1. So you are getting. So that type of matrix is called orthogonal matrix. So that type of matrix you will get in electromagnetic field, because generally electromagnetic field means electric field and magnetic field, and we are considering that electric field and magnetic fields are orthogonal, means they are displaced by 90 degrees. So there is a angle between them is 90 degree, and they are in different planes. One is the xy plane, then second maybe in xz plane, like that. So planes are also orthogonal. So like that, if you will get orthogonal matrix in electromagnetic field, and how to find the inverse of that matrix, inverse of the orthogonal matrix. So it is a simple when it is orthogonal matrix. So when if you transform the matrix, what do you mean by transformation? Transformation means rows you have to write in terms of column and columns in terms of row. So when you replace column by row, row by column, then you will get inverse matrix. So rows you have to write in terms of columns, and column terms you have to write as a row. So row into column and column to row transformation. We have already solved number of problems in mathematics. So like that you will get inverse matrix. So inverse matrix is very easy to implement when matrix is orthogonal matrix. So these are the prerequisite for the vector calculus. Some more important points are there that we'll discuss in the next slide. So here we'll see about the important mathematical tool, that is partial derivative. Now in partial derivative, as you know, we are finding the derivative with respect to only one variable. So here we have considered x and y. It may happen that there may be one more variable, that is time t, because in electromagnetic field there is an electric field, there is a magnetic field, and there is a time. So it may happen that electric field is changing with respect to only x, or with respect to only y, that is the y direction. So x and y, these are the special derivative, and so it is with respect to x or with respect to y, that is the dimension, and it may change with respect to time. So that time electric field or magnetic field that is changing with respect to time. So that is dE by dt. So such a partial derivative may require in electromagnetic field. Now here we define variables x and y. So partial derivative with respect to x is given written here as an example. So what is the definition of d by f by d by x? Partial derivative we call as d by f by d by x. So here we are defining it as a limit h tends to 0 function of x plus h comma y and minus f of x comma y divided by h. And here if you see the equation, x plus h and f of x, this difference is written here, but y is not changing. So because it is with respect to x, there's the only variable which is changing is f of x. Second important tool is a Taylor series, which is also required. And Taylor series is actually a use of partial derivative. Using partial derivative, Taylor series is defined. So here one equation is written as f of x comma y. So how to find? Now here, if you want to find write a Taylor series for f function x and y, then first term, that is considering 0, that is at origin, So f is written plus x into f of x. So function is changing with respect to x. So it is multiplied by x. So linear variable is written again y comma f of y. So the after writing the linear term, we are writing the quadratic term. So quadratic, since it is a quadratic term, it is 1 by 2 and 1 by 2 x square. So f of xx, then f of xy, so xy comes here, then y square, so f of yy comes. So like that you can expand the series, and here uh, the function or its derivative on the left hand side to equalize with x and y equal to 0. Then at right hand side also if a function with respect to the origin and its derivative at 0, you can equalize. So that is the meaning of actually a Taylor series. Third is the Maclaurin series. So in the Maclaurin series, here at least remember, try to remember these two equations, or number of equations are there using Maclaurin series. So we'll not go in detail mathematics or the Maclaurin series. So sometimes the such type of equations will come. So repetitive terms are there. So that you have to remember that is a Maclaurin series. It's called. So e raised to x is equal to 1 plus x square upon 2 factorial, and like that x cube divided by 3 factorial. Such terms will come. So you can expand the series easily. Second equation, that is 1 by 1 minus x. So how to write it? So it is 1 plus x square and plus x cube. Like that you can expand the series. In Taylor series, even though number of terms are there, generally we require first 2 to 3 terms. So up to quadratic equation you may require. So in the same way, in the Maclaurin series also, some terms, initial terms you will require, not the equation, not all the terms till infinity. So like that, these series are there. So this series we may require to refer in the some of the chapters in electromagnetic engineering. So here we'll see about scalar and vector fields. Now both the fields, whether it is a scalar field or vector fields, it is changing with respect to time as well as space. So that's why here in electromagnetic fields we are going to study both the fields, scalar and vector fields. Now the example of scalar field is a temperature. Now temperature, uh, function of temperature that depends upon both r bar, that is the position vector, and time t. Now what is position vector? Now let us take one example of air conditioner. If you turn on the air conditioner, you will experience a cooling depends upon where you are standing. So your position is important, and also the time at what time you turn on your air conditioner. So depending upon that, the temperature will slowly start decreasing. So you will experience a cooling depends upon the time. So time and position both are important. Now position, when I say, it is not only in one plane or two plane. It is a three-dimensional uh, coordinate, three-dimensional system, coordinate system. It depends upon what kind of parameter is, and depending upon that parameter we are selecting the coordinate system. But definitely it depends upon x, y, z, and time. That is also one of the uh, important parameter. So x, y, z, and t. So now when you write this, that time write the equation, that time you have to write partial derivative with respect to x, partial derivative of temperature with respect to y, partial derivative of temperature with respect to z, and also a time t is important. Now in vector field, example of vector field is velocity. Now in velocity, also it's a like temperature is a scalar quantity, velocity is a vector quantity, and this vector quantity you can write in terms of position vector and time. But here position vector, when I say, it is a three-dimensional plane and it's a vector. So since it is a vector, you will get three components. One in the I direction, second is the z direction, and third is the k direction. So I, j, k, these are the three axes, one along the x, second j along the y, and k along the z. So like that, three axes you will get, and these are the components u1, u2, and u3. And when you will add this all these components in three different uh, axis, that is I, j, k, you will get velocity vector field, that is u r bar t. Now how to write the function? So df by dt. So function will be changing with respect to time. So we know that it also depends upon the position. So hence we are writing partial derivative of that function with respect to x, and again x we have find the derivative of x with respect to time. Again partial derivative function with respect to y. So function which is changing with respect to y, and then again the derivative, that is the time derivative. So here both are important, position as well as time. In electromagnetic, while solving numerical problems, we need some mathematical operator, and one of the operator is del operator. Del operator is the vector differential operator. So here, since it is a special operator, means it is related with respect to the x, y, z coordinates. So we have to define it in according to the coordinate system. So here I have written mathematical equation when we define del operator in terms of in Cartesian coordinate system. So in Cartesian coordinate system, they define as deva by deva x, deva by deva y, deva by deva z. Here ax, ay, az, these are the unit vectors. Now this using the del operator, we can define some few terms like the gradient of a scalar. Now how to write gradient of a scalar? That you should always remember, the gradient of a scalar is written as gradient of v, because generally we define scalar potential as v. So gradient of a scalar means gradient of v, and it is written without any space in between del operator and v function. While writing divergence of a vector, we have to write a dot product. So del dot A. So A generally we define as a vector. So we define V as a scalar and A as a vector. So divergence of vector is written like a dot product del dot A. The curl of a vector is written like this. So curl of A is a vector. Again the Laplacian. So Laplacian of a scalar. So since it is a scalar, we define it by V, and it is written as del square V. We define del operator in a different coordinate system. So here I have written equations for three different coordinate systems. First equation is for Cartesian coordinate system. This is very simple to understand. Deva by deva x, deva by deva y, deva by deva z, along with three unit vectors. Second is the cylindrical coordinate system. Here we, as you know, coordinates we define as p, phi, and z. Hence, it is written as AP deva by deva p, a phi 1 by p deva by deva phi, plus az deva by deva z. So as far as third term is concerned, it is same deva by deva z in case of Cartesian coordinate system and cylindrical coordinate system. In case of first two terms, AP is nothing but a unit vector, that is a radial vector, and a phi is related with the tangent drawn to the circumference, that is cylinder, and P is the radius. So hence it is starting with AP deva by deva P, and a phi 1 by P deva by deva phi. So it is an angle. P deva phi is the radius into smallest angle. So so you will get the length of that arc. Hence it is like written 1 by P into deva by deva phi. In the third equation, the same way it is written AR into deva by deva R. Here instead of P we are writing R. So as far as coordinates are concerned, it is written as r, theta and phi. So AR is a unit vector deva by deva A theta, that is a unit vector into 1 by r deva by deva theta, and A phi and 1 by r sine theta deva by deva phi. So this is the equation in spherical coordinate system. Now if you observe these three equations, you will find that in the first equation, unit vectors are written after the operators. That is deva by deva x is the operator. So after operator, unit vectors are written. But in next equation, that is equation for cylindrical coordinate system and equation for spherical coordinate system, if you check, the uh, unit vectors are written before the operators, that is deva by deva r, deva by deva theta and deva by deva phi. These are the operators. Before that, these unit vectors are written. Why it is like that? Because these unit vectors depends on the angle. That is, angle is here theta and phi, and it is written before the operator. So here we'll define gradient of a scalar. As you know, scalar function we generally denoted by letter V, capital V, and gradient of V, that is shown by del V. Now here three functions are plotted. One is a V1, second is V2, and third is V3. Point P1 and P2 are shown here. So first try to understand what you mean by gradient. So gradient of a scalar field V is a vector. So when you find a gradient, then you will get a gradient of a scalar, you will get a vector. Now that vector has both magnitude and the direction. So when you find a gradient V, you will get a vector that represent both the magnitude and the direction of the maximum space rate of increase of V. So you will not only get a magnitude and direction, but you will get a maximum space rate of increase of V. So G is specified here. So along G, you will get maximum space rate of increase of V. And the magnitude of gradient V equals the maximum rate of change in V per unit distance. So per unit distance is calculated. So hope you understood that it is at point P1 gradient of V is plotted. So since it is a gradient V, so it is always normal to the point P1. Second thing, gradient of V, when you calculate, you will get the magnitude as well as direction, and direction is in which maximum space rate of change in potential V is there. That distance, that means that vector you will get, and you will get the magnitude, and that magnitude is per unit magnitude you will be able to calculate. Now, if suppose there are 2 points P1 and P2, it is shown in the diagram also that these 2 points are there. And suppose if you know the distance, so if you calculate dl along P1, P2, then G dot dl, that is the gradient vector. So gradient V dot dl along P1 and P2, that will give you a directional derivative along P1 and P2. Hence, gradient of V provides both the direction in which V changes most rapidly and the magnitude of the maximum directional derivative of V. So you will be able to find the magnitude, you will be able to find the direction in which maximum space rate of change in V, and that is per unit distance, that you can calculate. And second thing, you'll be able to calculate a directional derivative. Suppose 2 points are given, then G dot cos theta, so sorry, G dot vector along that 2 points, that is P1 and P2. So if you find a dot product, you will get a directional derivative. So these two things are possible to calculate using gradient of scalar. So try to solve these three problems. So after solving these problems, you will come to know how to use gradient and what is the application, what is the meaning of gradient. So here, if you observe these three problems properly, you will come to know that in the first problem, x and y coordinates are there. So and in the second problem, coordinates are p, phi and z. And third problem, coordinates are r, theta and phi. So you'll be able to differentiate these three problems. What is the meaning of it? So first uh, problem is for Cartesian coordinate system. So x, y, z are there. Second problem is for p, phi, z. So cylindrical coordinate system. And third problem is for r, theta, phi. So spherical coordinate system. So these three different coordinate systems are there. So if you want to solve these problems, you have to implement the equations accordingly. So if it is Cartesian coordinate system, then the solution, first equation is written. For the second problem, it is a cylindrical coordinate system. So second equation, the solution you have to use, and for the third integral problem, third equation that you have to use. So accordingly, you have to solve. And what is the gradient? Gradient is maximum change at that particular distance. You will be able to find out.
Grammarly does more than catch errors. With Grammarly, you can find really good, no, perfect words that make your writing sharp or explicit or
Zero. You can check the diagram. Function is. Product f dot dl, you will get only volume integral. So hope you understood the meaning of gradient, where to use. And there are a number of series like Taylor series, Maclaurin series. So sometimes you are going to use this series. And one thing is that you should know at least the first two or three terms. Okay. Other terms generally we are neglecting. Whether it is electromagnetic engineering or power electronics, in any field, generally we are neglecting the remaining terms. Okay. So always remember, this is an approximation method. Na? Using approximation methods, this series are generated. Okay, so it should not happen that first you make mistake in the higher order terms. Because if your answer is, suppose your answer you are getting using first three terms or first four terms is 3. So it should be approximately equal to 3 point something. It should not happen that by adding the remaining terms, you are getting your answer becomes 30 or 40. Okay, so it should be near to 3. So that is this approximation you should know. So don't make mistake while calculating the better. Generally, we are neglecting the higher order terms. Okay, in power electronics also Fourier series is there. So such kind of series are there. So Taylor series, Maclaurin series, we are going to use. There is one module that is called numerical techniques. Okay, so this numerical techniques we are going to use some of the series also. So, and in antennas also, in antenna there are some numerical problems where we are going to use this series. So we will not go in detail about that. And second thing is orthogonal matrix, I explained. So how to find the inverse of that orthogonal matrix. So just transform rows into column into rows, then you will get the inverse. So that is the identity, how to
find inverse of the matrix. So you should be able to solve the matrix, and I think some practice is required while solving the matrix. Generally, you are going to get the terms like sine theta, sine phi, because as you know, in spherical coordinate system, r theta phi is there. So try to remember the coordinates. So in case of Cartesian coordinate system, x, y, z terms are there. In case of cylindrical coordinate system, r theta phi is there. R is there. R for radius. And in spherical coordinate system, it is a sphere, but radius is not defined by r. It is denoted by p, that is rho. Okay, so rho is there. Now in next few chapters we are going to define rho again, but that time rho is with some suffix. Okay, rho is generally defined for what is called density. Okay, charge density. So rho L, rho S, rho V, like that we are going to define. Because in electromagnetic, when we define charge density, that time it will be with respect to something. So rho L, that is a line charge. So line may be there, and because of that there is a charge. Rho S, that is a surface. On the surface, charges are distributed, and hence you will get a surface charge density. And in rho V, that is a volume. It is a sphere. Then sphere is distributed with the with some charge. So that is a rho S, rho V. So rho will come with some suffix, and that's called density. And when it is a rho, simple rho, r theta, rho, what is called spherical coordinate system, it is rho, theta, and phi. So that time rho is nothing but a distance, that is a radius of the sphere. In case of cylindrical coordinate system, it is r, that is the radius of the cylinder, and it is the radius of the sphere, that is denoted by rho. So like that, if you remember the coordinates, then using that coordinates, uh, del you have to check. So del operator, the equations are different according to coordinate systems. So that you should remember. And simple things, if you remember, suppose if angle is theta, smallest angle is theta, and or theta or suppose phi angle is there. Angle is phi, and radius is r. Then what is the length of that arc? It is multiplication of both r and theta. So that is the arc length. So like that, these simple formulas, if you know, then these formulas are easy to remember. So yeah, you will come to know why it is like 1 by rho, or 1 by p, or 1 by or sine theta, cos theta are there. So this trigonometry, basic trigonometry, if you know, then you will come to know how the equations are derived. So in the exam, question will not come on how you will derive spherical coordinate system, or how you will. Basically, these questions will not come. Questions will not come on coordinate system. Okay, you are applying coordinate system now. So coordinate system is not the model. Model is applying coordinate system to in electromagnetic field. So question may come on Gauss theorem or divergence theorem. Using Stokes theorem, you may have to solve some numerical problem. So such kind of problems will come. Numerical problems will come in the exam, but the only on spherical coordinate system or cylindrical coordinate system, numerical problems will not come. So this is the basic prerequisite for electromagnetic engineering. Okay, Maxwell's equations are there. That from the Maxwell's equation, actually the syllabus is going to start. But first module is for 3 hours, I think. So if it is a 3 hours, then less number of numerical problems or less question will come. But that question will be not based on question will be based on application of coordinate system, not the derivation of spherical coordinate system or cylindrical coordinate system. Okay, so you have to work with del operator, then gradient. So such kind of problem may come for few marks, at least in the end semester exam. Okay, first at least unit test 1 is concerned, I will concentrate more on the Maxwell's equation or some part of the transmission line. So that's syllabus I will give you in the next week, because depending upon the number of hours, I will decide the syllabus, and it will be for 15 marks. So let us listen again the next lecture. Next lecture again based on the coordinate system. One numerical problem is there, that is solved. So here I think one cube is given. So cube is placed in the XYZ coordinate, and accordingly here you have to find. So what is field? Field is nothing but one function. Okay, so here also field is given. So field is defined with some function, and you have to calculate the force. So while calculate the force, you will require integration, then dot product of the vector. So let us see how the problem is solved. Any difficulty in the previous lecture, you can ask now. Are you there? Okay, okay. Here I'm trying to explain the concept of line integral, surface integral, and volume integral. Now, line integral, I will explain using this example. Here one function is given. So function f is equal to x square ax minus xz ay y square az, where ax, ay, az are unit vectors. So this is a function, and we are going to find we are going to define line integral. Line integral that is through the path, or if it is a closed path, then line integral is a counter closed path. So here it is I want to explain using a cube. Now here cube is given, so one segment is along the x-axis, second along the y-axis, third along the z-axis, and we are going to find the line integral uh, considering the path 1, 2, 3, 4, and since it is a closed path, again it is coming to the initial point, so it becomes a closed path. So why it is called line integral? So line indicates a path. Now here it is mentioned that path is a straight line, but it is not necessary. But because in this example it is a straight line, but not necessary that always it is a straight line. It can be a curve, any type of curve, and that means line indicates a path. So line is a path along a curve in a space. Space means in a it is you can specify it in 3 coordinate axes. So this is the space. In that space, this cube is there with these lines, or it's called path. And here we are going to find the line integral. So line integral is the integral of the tangential component of A along curve L. So here all lines are straight lines. So here it is not necessary to find a tangent, but if it is a curve, because it is a path means that it can be a curve. In this example, it is not a curve, but there may be some example where it is a curve. So that time you are going to find the tangent at each point, and that will become a path along a curve. And then you are going to define a line integral. Now here, while solving the problems, you are going to find the integration of a dot dl. What is a? A is nothing but a function, and dl is nothing but a smallest part of the segment. That is the infinitesimal small path along that curve. So a dot dl will be the integral. So here, now while solving the problems, so this integral is divided into 4 parts, since there are 4 segments, segment 1, 2, 3, 4, and all are integrated. Here I define line integral again. The line integral a dot dl. along path L is the integral of the tangential component. So here it is there are segments, but there can be a curve. Hence, tangential component of A is a function along curve L. So function f is already given. So for segment 1, you can write y is equal to 0, z is equal to 0. See the diagram and you will come to know that here y is equal to 0 and z is equal to 0. Hence, f is equal to x square ax minus xz ay minus y square az. So you will get x square az by putting the value of y is equal to 0 and z is equal to 0. dl we have already defined. dl is equal to dx ax, dy ay and dz az. So when you find the dot product f dot dl, you will get only x square dx. And once you integrate, you will get minus 1 by 3. So this is along the segment 1. Similarly, here we solve for segment 2, where x is equal to 0, z is equal to 0. You can check the diagram. Function is written, so you will get only minus y square az. dl is equal to dy az, and f dot dl you will get 0. For segment 3 again, y is equal to 1. Function you will get x square minus ax minus xz ay minus hz, and dl is equal to dx ax dz az. F dot dl, if you find the integration along path 3, you will get x square dx minus dz. And when you solve the integration by putting z is equal to x and dx is equal to dz, you will get with respect to x, that is 2 by 3. So here we solve for segment 4 and I got 5 by 6. And after putting all together, that is all 4 parts I added, and I got minus 1 by 6. So the last slide, I explained line integral, that is f dot dl. So it is a tangential component we integrated along a path, and when it is a closed path, that time counter integral we are finding. So here it's a surface integral. So when there is a closed path, that will become a surface. Now here, for example, a flux, when a current passing, there will be a flux. So now here we consider vector field A. So A is a vector field because of that closed path L. Now this field is continuous in a region containing the smooth surface S. So S is a smooth surface because of path L. And we define the surface integral. So surface integral is defined as an integral of a dot an ds. So what is an? An is the normal to the surface, and what is ds? ds is a small component because s is a plane. In that plane, a small infinitesimal component. So we are considering infinitesimal component in case of line integral, surface integral, and in volume integral also. So it is a small surface we are considering, and an is a normal to that surface, that is ds. So in case of line integral, we define dl. Now here in case of surface integral, we define ds, and an is a normal to that path. So finding the dot product, here it is a dot ds. So an, that is the magnitude of an is 1. So a dot ds you will get. So we are required to find here a dot ds. This is the example based on gradient. Now gradient, as you know, we define this gradient using a del operator. Now in this example, w, that is a function, is given x square y square plus xyz, and we need to find, so this is the function of that plane, and we need to find a gradient of w and a directional derivative. As you know, directional derivative is a vector. So directional derivative dw by dl is the direction of. So directional derivatives, so it requires a direction, and it is through a point, that is 2 minus 1 0. That is the numerical problem. So given is w, then dw by dl, that is the directional derivative you have to find, and the direction in which that directional derivative is, that is given by 3ax 4ay 12az, and the point through which that vector is passing is 2 minus 1 and 0. So naturally we require to find the gradient of w using del w. So del W we already defined, del we have defined, and W is given. So del by W by del by X. So in today's lecture, you come to know across some of the terms like gradient, then what is directional derivative or infinitesimal length, infinitesimal what is called surface area ds, infinitesimal volume. Okay, and when you integrate, you will get the actual volume. So when there is a line charge, you have to consider a small length that is called dl, and that is the infinitesimal small length. So you are finding the expression when you are solving the numerical problem. That time that dl small infinitesimal length you have to consider. Then what is perpendicular distance? That is the from the charge. So there is a charge in a space, and there is a line charge. So one current is flowing, because of that there is a charge through the line. Small part of that line dl you are considering, and we are finding the perpendicular distance from that point to the line charge. So that is the dl. So that perpendicular distance will generally write as a rho, and then we are solving the equation. So I solved one numerical problems using cube. Okay, so there you will come to know what is actually uh, the segments are given, and then the segments are each segments are integrated. So if it is a curve path, then you have to find the tangent. Okay, so directional derivative I will explain next time, and then you can or you try to find out what is the directional derivative. Try to try to solve problems which are available on Google. Okay, search on Google and find some numerical problem based on directional derivative. You will come to know what is directional derivative, and then you go through this problem. So directional derivative is very important. So don't consider there is a geometry problem. Using directional derivative, you will be able to find electric field intensity, then magnetic field intensity afterwards. So this actually mathematical terms you are going to use in electromagnetic engineering. So here we'll stop. I think Excel sheet is open now. Any difficulty? Any difficulty in Excel sheet? There was problem with the Excel sheet. Now I think you are able to. Someone have already included topics. So Nisha Vasant, Ritik Jain, Monish Sankhe. I think your topics are, I think, very basic topics. It's okay if you are not getting. So try to select some applications. Ground space, surface, sky wave propagation. That is, from exam point of view, it is there in your syllabus, so you have to study. But how you will give presentation? Presentation means topic should be at least based on some application. So if possible, change your topic. Antenna is also good one, but try to if there is any specific antenna, then that will be better. Okay, we'll stop here. You can leave the meeting. If you have any problem and you want to ask me personally, you can wait. Otherwise, you can leave.